Life has a way of whispering its lessons to us in the quiet moments, but most people ignore those whispers until they turn into screams. By then, it's often too late. The truth is, there are realities we must face if we want to live fully, powerfully, and without regret. They are not gentle truths. They are not easy to accept. They are brutal, raw, and uncomfortable. But they are the truths that can set you free if you're willing to face them head-on. And most people don't. They bury them, avoid them, numb themselves with distraction, and then wake up decades later wondering why life slipped through their fingers. The first brutal truth is that nobody is coming to save you. It doesn't matter how much you wish for a mentor, a partner, or a lucky break. It doesn't matter how much you hope someone will swoop in and fix your problems. The world doesn't operate that way. Waiting for rescue is the surest way to stay stuck. The only person who can save you is you. The sooner you accept that responsibility, the sooner you take back your power. Because the moment you stop waiting for someone else to make things better is the moment you start building a life on your terms. Harsh, absolutely, but liberating, without question. Closely tied to this is the second truth. Life is not fair and it never will be. Some people are born into wealth, others into poverty. Some inherit beauty, health, and opportunities, while others inherit hardship, illness, and limitations. Fairness was never part of the deal. But here's the catch. Fairness doesn't matter nearly as much as what you do with what you've been given. Some of the most powerful, inspiring, and successful people began with far less than you have right now. They didn't waste energy resenting the hand they were dealt. They played it with absolute determination. Weak people cry about fairness. Strong people take ownership and move forward. You don't control the cards, but you do control how you play them. The third brutal truth: time is running out faster than you realize. Most people live as though they have endless tomorrows, but you don't. Every day you waste is a day you'll never get back. The average human life is shockingly short when you break it down into weeks or days. Yet people squander those days scrolling endlessly, chasing shallow pleasures, or putting off their dreams. The most common regret of the dying is not what they did, but what they never tried. Let that sink in. If you knew you had only a handful of years left, how differently would you live? That urgency is not a fantasy, it's reality. You're running out of time, and pretending otherwise is the greatest illusion of all. The fourth truth cuts deeper. Most people don't actually care about you. They care about themselves, their needs, their struggles. Yes, you may have loved ones who value you, but the vast majority of people you encounter are not thinking about you at all. This is brutal but also freeing. Why? Because it means you don't have to live for their approval. Too many people waste their lives trying to please everyone, terrified of judgment, desperate for validation. But here's the reality. People are far too busy worrying about themselves to spend much time worrying about you. Once you accept that, you stop being a prisoner of opinions and start living for yourself. Then comes the fifth truth. Comfort is a slow killer. The world has designed everything to keep you comfortable, entertained, and distracted, and most people willingly sink into it, never realizing it's robbing them of growth. Comfort zones feel safe, but they're silent cages. The longer you stay in one, the weaker you become. Muscles atrophy when not used, and so does the mind, so does courage, so does ambition. Comfort lulls you into mediocrity, and before you know it, you've wasted the best years of your life being comfortable but unfulfilled. True growth lives outside of comfort. If you want to live a life worth remembering, you must step into discomfort over and over again until it becomes your natural state. The sixth truth: you will fail, and not just once. You will fail many times in big ways and small. You will fall short, embarrass yourself, lose, and break down. Most people fear this so much that they never try at all. They tiptoe through life, hopping to avoid failure, but in doing so, they fail by default. Failure isn't the enemy, it's the path. Every setback is a teacher, every mistake is a mirror, every loss is a lesson. The people who succeed are not the ones who avoided failure. They are the ones who kept going despite it. If you fear failure, you fear life itself, because the two cannot be separated. Now the seventh truth, and it may sting the most: nobody owes you anything. Not the world, not society, not your friends, not your parents. Entitlement is one of the surest ways to guarantee disappointment. The moment you believe you are owed something, success, love, respect, you place your happiness in someone else's hands. Life doesn't hand out rewards for existing. It rewards effort, resilience, persistence, and contribution. You want respect, earn it. You want love, give it. You want success, work for it. Waiting for others to deliver what you think you're owed is weakness. Creating your own path is strength. The eighth truth is harder still. You are replaceable. In work, in relationships, in society, no one is irreplaceable. This might sound cold, but it's reality. Businesses move on without you. Relationships survive without you. The world keeps turning no matter what. But instead of seeing this as depressing, see it as motivation. If you want to matter, you must bring so much value, so much uniqueness, so much presence that your absence is felt. Don't assume you'll always be needed. Work every day to become someone who cannot be ignored. That is how you create impact. The ninth truth, excuses don't change reality. Weak people live in excuses. I didn't have time. I wasn't ready. I wasn't given the chance. Excuses feel comforting in the moment because they shift blame, but they don't change the outcome. They don't fix failure. They don't create progress. They simply justify weakness. Strong people see excuses for what they are, lies that protect comfort but destroy potential. If you're not where you want to be, stop explaining it away and start doing something about it. Reality doesn't bend to excuses. It bends to effort. And finally, the 10th brutal truth. In the end, you will die. That's not poetic, that's fact. And it could come sooner than you think. Death is the ultimate teacher because it strips away illusions. All the things you thought mattered, the opinions, the fears, the comfort, none of it will matter in that moment. The only question will be, did you live fully or did you waste the gift? Did you chase your potential or did you let weakness win? Death is not meant to paralyze you, it's meant to wake you up. Because once you realize the clock is ticking, you stop wasting it on nonsense and start living with intensity. These truths are not comfortable. They're not easy to swallow, but they are the keys to freedom. Most people will ignore them because it's easier to stay blind. But if you accept them, if you let them pierce through the illusions, you can escape the fate of the 99%. The brutal truths hurt, but the freedom they offer is priceless. The choice is yours. Ignore them and stay weak, or embrace them and live a life that actually matters. The second brutal truth is that time is not on your side, no matter how much you like to pretend otherwise. We live with the illusion that tomorrow is always guaranteed, that there will always be more chances, more days, more opportunities waiting for us. But life doesn't work that way. Every single day, the clock is ticking, and whether you act or not, the time will pass. Look back at the last 5 years of your life. Did they go by slowly, or did they vanish in a blur? Most people are shocked at how quickly time disappears, and yet they still waste it on things that don't matter. They stay stuck in jobs they hate. They put off learning new skills. They delay conversations they need to have. They keep telling themselves someday, as if someday is a day on the calendar. It is. Someday is an excuse. Someday is another word for never. The truth is brutal. Your time is slipping away, and if you don't take action now, one day you'll realize you've run out of it. This leads directly to the third truth, which is that nobody is coming to save you. Many people grow up thinking that someone, somewhere, will step in and rescue them. Maybe it's a mentor who will hand them the keys to success. Maybe it's a partner who will make life easier. Maybe it's society itself, rewarding them for simply existing. But life doesn't reward wishful thinking. Nobody owes you anything, not even the people who care about you. That sounds harsh, but it's freeing once you understand it. If nobody is coming to save you, then you hold the power to save yourself. That means the quality of your life rests entirely in your hands. You can choose to complain, to wait, to hope for a miracle, or you can get up, take responsibility, and make it happen. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll stop waiting and start building. The fourth brutal truth is that comfort is the enemy of growth. We all love being comfortable, soft beds, predictable routines, familiar people. Comfort feels good, but it's also a trap. Comfort whispers to you, stay here, don't take risks, don't try something new. Comfort convinces you that stepping out of your routine is dangerous, even when it's the only way to improve. Think about every achievement you admire, whether it's someone getting in shape, building a business, or mastering a skill. None of that happened in the comfort zone. It happened because someone was willing to feel uncomfortable, to endure pain, to risk failure. The people who grow are the ones who choose discomfort over ease. The people who stay weak are the ones who confuse comfort with happiness. The brutal truth is that comfort slowly kills your potential, while discomfort forges strength. The fifth truth is even harder to swallow. You are replaceable. At work, in relationships, in life, you are not as irreplaceable as you want to believe. If you stop showing up at your job, someone else will take your place. If you stop nurturing your relationships, someone else can step in. If you don't contribute value, the world will move on without you. This isn't meant to make you feel worthless. It's meant to shake you awake. Being replaceable doesn't mean you don't matter. It means you can't rely on entitlement. You have to keep proving yourself, keep growing, keep adding value. If you want to stand out, you have to earn it every single day. The world is not waiting to hand you recognition. It's waiting to see what you're capable of. These truths, when combined, create a picture that many people try to avoid. They show you that time is short, that nobody is responsible for your success except you, that comfort is dangerous, and that you can be replaced if you don't rise above the average. But instead of letting these truths crush you, you can let them fuel you. Imagine if you stopped wasting time and treated every day as a chance to move forward. Imagine if you stopped waiting for someone to save you and took control of your own destiny. Imagine if you embraced discomfort and grew stronger through it. Imagine if you committed to adding so much value that being replaceable wasn't even a question. That's what separates the few who thrive from the many who stay stuck. Still, hearing these truths isn't enough. You have to do something with them. Think of the people you admire most, the ones who inspire you, who achieved things you respect. Do you think they ignored these truths, or do you think they lived by them? They didn't waste time. They didn't wait for saviors. They didn't chase comfort. They didn't assume they were entitled to anything. They acted, and because they acted, they built lives others only dream of. The only difference between them and you is the choices they made when confronted with these realities. They didn't run from the brutal truths. They embraced them. They used them as fuel. The mistake most people make is that they hear advice like this, nod their heads, and then go back to their old habits. They'll say that's so true while scrolling endlessly on their phones. They'll say time is short while wasting another evening doing nothing. They'll say comfort is dangerous while avoiding the gym. They'll say nobody is coming to save me while waiting for some miracle job or opportunity. Knowledge without action is worthless. Knowing the truth doesn't change your life. Living the truth does. So let me ask you this. What truth are you ignoring right now? Is it that you've been wasting your time convincing yourself there's still plenty left? Is it that you've been waiting for someone else to make your life better? Is it that you've been clinging to comfort even though it's slowly killing your growth? Or is it that you've been assuming your value is automatic when in reality you've stopped proving yourself? Whatever it is, face it. Don't run from it. Don't sugarcoat it. Stare it in the face, admit it, and decide to change. Because the difference between regret and fulfillment is not whether you know these truths, it's whether you act on them before it's too late. By now you've heard half of the brutal truths that most people avoid, and already they've probably made you uncomfortable. That's good. Discomfort is the first sign that you're waking up, but we're not done yet. The second half of these truths will go even deeper, cutting through the illusions that keep people stuck and weak. If you're ready for the next set, brace yourself. Because what's coming might sting, but it might also be the thing that finally sets you free. The sixth brutal truth is that failure is not optional, it is inevitable. Somewhere along the way, you were taught to fear failure, to see it as the ultimate shame. Maybe it was in school, where mistakes were punished with red marks and low grades. Maybe it was in your family, where failing meant judgment or disappointment. But life doesn't work like school, and failure isn't something you can avoid forever. It's going to happen. You're going to fail at projects, relationships, goals, ideas, attempts. The difference between the weak and the strong is not whether they fail, it's how they respond to it. Weak people collapse at the first sign of failure. They take it as proof that they're not good enough and they give up. Strong people see failure for what it really is, feedback. They learn, they adjust, they try again. Every failure is a message pointing you toward improvement, but only if you're willing to listen. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who never failed. They're the ones who failed the most and refused to quit. This connects directly to the seventh truth. Most people care far less about you than you think. Harsh, isn't it? We live inside our own heads, imagining that everyone is constantly watching, judging, and analyzing our every move. We hesitate to act, to speak, to try new things because we're terrified of what they will think. But the truth is, people are far too busy worrying about themselves to obsess over you. They might notice your mistake for a moment, but then they move on. They're wrapped up in their own problems, their own insecurities, their own failures. And yet, millions of people live small, limited lives because they're paralyzed by the illusion of judgment. If you realized how little people actually think about you, you would be free. Free to act boldly, free to fail publicly, free to take risks that look crazy but change your life. The brutal truth is that you're not the center of everyone's universe, and that's not a curse, it's a gift. The eighth truth is that discipline beats motivation every time. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are unreliable. Sometimes you feel like working hard, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you feel like being disciplined, and sometimes you'd rather take it easy. Weak people rely on motivation. They wait until they feel like it before they take action. Strong people rely on discipline. They act regardless of how they feel. They understand that consistency matters more than emotion. Think about athletes, soldiers, entrepreneurs. Do you think they're motivated every single day? No, they're disciplined. They show up whether they want to or not. They treat their goals like commitments, not like moods, and that's why they win. The brutal truth is that if you're waiting for motivation to magically appear, you'll be waiting forever. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Now we come to the ninth truth. Your environment shapes you more than your intentions. You may believe you're strong enough to resist the influence of people around you, but the reality is that you are always being shaped by your environment. If you spend time with negative, lazy, small-minded people, their habits will rub off on you. If you surround yourself with ambitious, disciplined, and driven people, you will rise to their level. This is why so many people stay weak. They stay in environments that encourage weakness. They stay in social circles where mediocrity is normal. They stay in routines that make growth nearly impossible. If you want to escape weakness, you can't just change your goals. You have to change your environment. The brutal truth is that your environment will either pull you forward or drag you down, and pretending otherwise is self-sabotage. Finally, we arrive at the 10th brutal truth. Life is unfair, and it always will be. Some people are born into wealth, others are born into poverty. Some people have supportive families, others have to survive on their own. Some people have natural talent, others struggle just to get by. Life is not a level playing field, and it never will be. Weak people use this truth as an excuse. They say, it's unfair, so why bother? Strong people use it as motivation. They accept that life isn't fair, and then they play the hand they were dealt with everything they've got. They don't waste time comparing themselves to others. They don't waste energy wishing for an easier life. They focus on what they can control, and they fight for every inch of progress. The brutal truth is that you can't control the cards you're given, but you can control how you play them. Taken together, these last 5 truths form a mirror. And when you look into that mirror, you either see excuses or you see opportunities. You see reasons to give up or reasons to fight harder. Failure is guaranteed, but so is growth if you learn. People don't care about you as much as you think, which means you're free to act without fear. Motivation will abandon you, but discipline never will. Your environment will shape you, so you must choose it wisely. Life will never be fair, but you can still win if you're willing to play. Each of these truths strips away an illusion that keeps people weak. And once those illusions are gone, you're left with reality. Harsh, raw, unfiltered reality. But also possibility. Because once you see the world as it really is, you can finally start living instead of waiting. Now that you've heard all 10 truths, the question becomes, what are you going to do with them? Are you going to file them away as interesting ideas, or are you going to act? Are you going to use them as an excuse for why life is too hard, or as fuel for why you refuse to settle? The choice is yours. Every single day, you're writing the story of your life. And when the final page is written, will it be the story of someone who stayed weak or someone who broke free? That's what these truths demand of you. Not just awareness, but action. Not just knowledge, but transformation. The window is closing. The time is slipping. And the only person who can decide whether you waste these truths or live by them is staring back at you in the mirror. You've now heard all 10 brutal truths, but here's the thing. Knowing them is only the first step. The deeper challenge is applying them, and this is where most people fail. They listen, they nod, they even feel inspired for a moment, but then they go back to the same old patterns. Why? Because change is uncomfortable. Change demands sacrifice, and change forces you to confront the very habits and beliefs that feel safe. That's why I want to take these truths further, breaking them down into what they actually mean for your daily life. Because it's one thing to hear them, and another thing entirely to live them. Let's revisit the first truth, that nobody is thinking about you as much as you think. On the surface, that sounds freeing. But when you wake up tomorrow and you're about to post your idea online or speak up in a meeting or try something new in public, that old fear of judgment will creep back in. You'll imagine the whispers, the criticism, the laughter. Here's the action, push forward anyway. Because the truth is, the very thing you're afraid of, being judged, is what makes you invisible. When you hold back, you guarantee that nobody notices you. When you act, you risk judgment, but you also give yourself the chance to be seen, to make an impact, to stand out. Every time you remind yourself, they're not thinking about me as much as I imagine, you chip away at the chains that keep you trapped. Living this truth means practicing boldness every single day. Now think about the second truth. Time is not on your side. You can't control how quickly it moves, but you can control what you do with it. Most people waste enormous amounts of time on distractions that bring no real value. Hours vanish on scrolling, gossiping, worrying. Days blur together in meaningless routines. The action here is to treat your time like the most precious resource in your life, because it is. Track it, guard it, spend it with purpose. Ask yourself every single day, did I waste today or did I use it? When you live as if time is slipping away, and it is, you stop giving it to things that don't matter. You stop letting life drift and you start steering it. Then we come to the truth about nobody saving you. This is where people really get stuck, because deep down, many secretly want to be rescued. They want someone else to fix their problems, to carry their burdens, to hand them the solution. And yes, sometimes others can help, but relying on rescue is weakness. The action here is to own every part of your life. Your failures, your successes, your problems, your opportunities. When you stop blaming, stop waiting, stop wishing, and start owning, you unlock a level of strength you didn't know you had. Living this truth means waking up each day and asking, if nobody is coming to save me, what can I do today to save myself? Comfort, too, has to be attacked head-on. It's not enough to know comfort is dangerous. You must actively put yourself in situations that stretch you. That means choosing the harder workout instead of the easy one. It means saying yes to the opportunity that scares you instead of the one that feels safe. It means risking embarrassment, failure, rejection. Living this truth requires you to rewire how you think about discomfort. Instead of avoiding it, you chase it. Instead of seeing it as pain, you see it as proof that you're growing. Comfort will always call to you, whispering that you deserve to take it easy. But every time you answer, you trade growth for stagnation. Living this truth means refusing the easy path in favor of the hard one, because only the hard one leads anywhere worth going. And let's not forget the truth about being replaceable. This one is sobering, but it's also powerful. If you know you're replaceable, then the action is clear. Make yourself irreplaceable. Not by demanding it, not by expecting it, but by earning it. How? By delivering more value than anyone else. By being so consistent, so reliable, so effective, that replacing you would cost more than keeping you. This doesn't mean exhausting yourself or becoming a workaholic. It means committing to excellence. It means never coasting. It means seeing every day as an opportunity to prove, to yourself and to the world, that you bring something unique. Living this truth means raising your standards so high that mediocrity is no longer an option. Now when we move to the second half of the truths, failure, discipline, environment, unfairness, they all tie together in a way that can either empower you or crush you. Failure, for example, is inevitable. The action here is to reframe it. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" ask, "What will I learn when I fail?" That shift changes everything. It means you no longer fear mistakes, you expect them, embrace them, and grow from them. The people who live by this truth see every failure as tuition they pay for success. Yes, the cost is high, but the rewards are higher. Discipline is another truth that requires action. If you keep waiting for motivation, you'll keep waiting forever. The solution: build habits that don't depend on how you feel. That means creating routines, systems, accountability. It means deciding ahead of time, "I will do this no matter what." Living this truth is about separating your emotions from your actions. You can feel tired, unmotivated, lazy, and still act. Discipline doesn't mean you never struggle. It means you act in spite of the struggle. And every time you do, you strengthen the muscle of self-control. Your environment might be the hardest truth to face because it forces you to make uncomfortable choices. It might mean leaving behind friends who keep you stuck. It might mean changing jobs, moving cities, cutting ties. Harsh, yes, but the brutal truth is that you cannot soar while tied to anchors. Living this truth means curating your environment as carefully as you curate your goals. It means asking, "Do the people around me pull me forward or hold me back?" And then making the hard decisions based on the answer. Finally, unfairness. Life isn't fair. It never will be. But the action is to stop expecting fairness and start focusing on what you can control. Complaining doesn't change unfairness. Comparing doesn't fix it. The only thing that changes your life is playing your hand as best as you can. Living this truth means refusing to let unfairness be your excuse. It means using it as your reason to fight harder, to prove more, to rise above. When you put all of these into practice, something powerful happens. You stop living like a victim of life and you start living like a creator of it. You stop drifting with the current and you start steering the ship. The truths don't get easier, they never will, but you get stronger, strong enough to face them, to live them, and to rise because of them. Living these brutal truths is not a one-time decision, it's a daily battle, because every single day you'll be tempted to forget them. You'll be tempted to believe that people are thinking about you, and so you'll shrink back into fear. You'll be tempted to believe that time is infinite, and so you'll waste it on distractions. You'll be tempted to believe that someone else will come along and rescue you, and so you'll sit still, waiting. You'll be tempted by comfort, by the soft lies it tells you, and you'll forget that it's actually killing your potential. You'll be tempted to believe that you can coast and still remain valuable, and you'll forget that being replaceable is only one bad habit away. You'll be tempted to see failure as proof that you're not good enough, rather than as feedback that you're on the right path. You'll be tempted to imagine that everyone is watching and judging you, when in reality, they barely notice. You'll be tempted to wait for motivation instead of building discipline. You'll be tempted to stay in environments that keep you stuck, rather than curating ones that push you forward. And you'll be tempted, again and again, to cry about the unfairness of life, rather than using it as fuel to play harder with the hand you've been dealt. The truth is, these temptations never go away. Weak people give in to them every day, and that's why they stay weak. Strong people fight them every day, and that's why they grow stronger. You don't escape these truths, you endure them, embrace them, and eventually thrive because of them. That's the ultimate brutal truth. Strength is not a destination. It's a practice, a lifestyle, a choice you make in every moment. Think about this. In 10 years, you will become someone very different from who you are today. The only question is, who? Will you be someone who stayed weak, comfortable, waiting, wasting, and regretting? Or will you be someone who faced these truths head-on, lived them, and built a life of strength, purpose, and meaning? 10 years will pass either way. The version of you that exists in that future depends entirely on the choices you make today. And this is where most people fail. They want results without reality. They want the benefits of strength without paying the price of discomfort. They want the rewards of discipline without the sacrifice of consistency. They want the freedom of time without the responsibility of using it well. They want fairness in an unfair world, certainty in an uncertain world, guarantees in a world where none exist. But life doesn't work like that. Life gives you what you earn, not what you wish for. And until you accept that, you'll stay trapped in the same cycle of weakness. The people who break free are not superhuman. They're not luckier than you. They're not more talented than you. They're just people who face these truths and refuse to run from them. They refuse to waste time. They refuse to wait for rescuers. They refuse to bow down to comfort. They refuse to rely on motivation instead of discipline. They refuse to let unfairness be an excuse. They refuse to surround themselves with anchors instead of wings. They refuse to let failure define them. They refuse to let fear of judgment silence them. In other words, they refused weakness. And because they refused it, they built strength. You have that same choice. Every time you wake up, every time you face a decision, you're given the chance to choose weakness or strength. The easy road or the hard one, the illusion or the truth. And most people, 99% of them, choose weakness. They choose it because it feels easier in the moment, but in the long run it costs them everything. It costs them their potential, their dreams, their fulfillment, their legacy. Weakness feels safe today, but it steals tomorrow. Strength feels hard today, but it builds tomorrow. So ask yourself right now, which do you want? Do you want the ease of weakness or the power of strength? Do you want to look back in 10 years with regret or with pride? Do you want to be just another person who ignored these truths, or do you want to be one of the rare few who lived by them? That's not a question I can answer for you. That's not a choice anyone else can make for you. That choice belongs only to you. And here's one final thought to leave you with. Every great story, every legendary life, every remarkable achievement, at some point it began with someone deciding they would no longer live in denial of the brutal truths. They stopped sugarcoating. They stopped hiding. They stopped waiting. They started living in reality as harsh as it was. And because they faced reality, they were able to shape it. That's the gift of these truths. They don't just show you what's wrong. They show you what's possible if you're willing to live by them. So if you've made it this far, it's no accident. Something inside you knows you're meant for more. Something inside you knows you've been avoiding these truths for too long. Something inside you knows that time is running out and that if you don't act now, you may never act at all. This is your wake-up call. This is your reminder that weakness is a choice, but so is strength. This is your invitation to stop waiting, stop wishing, and start living. Because in the end, it really is simple. You can stay weak like the 99% who will waste their lives. Or you can escape, rise, and join the few who refuse to be broken by life's harshness. You know the truths. You've heard them all. Now it's time to decide. Will you live by them or will you ignore them until it's too late?